I'm going to make a single piece neck for the guitar out of this piece of West Australian Jarrah. It's been sitting in my workshop here in Tasmania for about 2 years now. Prior to that, it was in my previous workshop in the tropical end of Western Australia, a much warmer climate, for a year or so. But having a look at it, it still seems to be remarkably flat and straight and level. And so hopefully that bodes well for a nice stable neck from this piece of wood. Once again, the trusty CNC machine has been called upon to do all of the work on the neck. First time I've tried this, so a bit experimental. So let's see how we get on cutting the slot for the truss rod. For the fretboard, I'm using this Tasmanian timber, Huon pine, a very slow growing, close growing timber, nice buttery colour to it, fairly unusual outside of this island. It's a little softer than ebony or rosewood, but I'm hoping it'll work okay as the fretboard, and I think the colour will look really nice as a contrast to the Western Australian she oak on the top of the body. Once the fretboard is glued in on top of the truss rod, it's time to skim it down to the final level. My artistic skills leave a great deal to be desired, so I asked my wife Christy if she would come up with a leaf and vine design that could go on the neck and the body of the guitar. Once that was drawn, I was able to then scan the pictures into the software that I'm using to design and build the guitar and copy her drawings using spline curves into the software. Using spline curves is very effective for tracing this kind of drawing. You can get a very good fit between the original line and a nice smooth computer generated curve. The first part that needs to be cut is the central vine itself rather than the leaves. So we isolate the drawing for this and move across to the machining side of the software. Here we can select the tool, the cutting depth, speed at which we want the cut to take place and all that sort of thing. One of the things about this software is that it will simulate the cut, which gives you a great deal more confidence when you actually want to go and cut the wood itself. As well as hogging out large amounts of wood, the CNC machine can also cut small, delicate work. This tool is only 1mm in diameter and is used for cutting out the vine and the leaves and pretty much all of the work on the decoration for the guitar. Here you can see it starting to cut out the central vine itself. And doing the same thing on the body rather than the neck. Once the cutting is done, it's time to produce the epoxy resin that's going to fill in the indentations we've just machined. And here you can see me mixing the colour, the brown colour for the stalk. Start off with a little bit of orange and then add very, very small amounts of blue until we get the sort of brown that we want. We needed a tone that was going to look good on both the very light coloured neck and the much darker brown she oak body of the guitar. So now adding an equal quantity of hardener to the resin. And then starting to put the resin into the machined vine on the neck. It's actually quite difficult to persuade the resin to go down into that cut. It's 3mm deep, but only 1.5mm wide in places. And I did both the neck and the guitar body at the same time, so we got a matching colour. After about 36 hours, the resin has hardened enough that we can then cut out the shape for the leaves, which are going to be filled in a similar way with resin of 2 shades of green. Once all the resin is in, it needs to be given several days to become hard enough that we can skim the surface down to make the resin and the timber completely flush.